All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty profound, looking at faith and change and how they kind of all come together through the story of Job.
Yeah.
And our guide for this deep dive is going to be Sarah Praise's blog post, A Change Worth Remembering.
Okay.
And, she's exploring a lot of these ideas on Substack,
Right.
which I think, as a lot of people know, is often kind of a hub for those more personal reflections.
Yeah. And I think what's so compelling about Sarah's approach here is that she really does weave her own personal experience as a mother into this ancient story of Job. So it's not just an intellectual exercise.
Right.
It's something that's really grounded in that raw and relatable emotion of parenthood.
Yeah, and she kind of dives right into this idea. I mean, right off the bat, she's drawing a parallel between God's love and, that unwavering commitment that a mother has for her child.
All right.
And I think by grounding divine love in something that's so familiar to us, the experience of parenthood, she offers this really fresh perspective on something that's often debated, like this concept of God's love.
It's a brilliant move because she's tapping into a universal human experience.
Yeah.
That primal, almost fierce love that we have for our families. And she uses that to illustrate something really profound about the very nature of God's love.
Yeah.
Its steadfastness, even in the face of our imperfections.
It is. It's comforting in a way.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's not always easy to reconcile, I think, with just the realities of what we see in the world.
Right.
People making choices that cause pain, that seemingly reject that love. And it's like, how do you rectify that with this idea of a benevolent, all-knowing God?
And that's precisely where Job enters the picture.
Right.
Sarah uses him as this really powerful example of unwavering faith in the midst of just unimaginable suffering. This is a man who loses everything.
Everything.
Family, wealth, health, and yet he remains steadfast in his faith.
Yeah.
Now, she's not suggesting that we should all aspire to endure that level of suffering, obviously.
Right.
But she points to his resilience, his refusal to turn away from God even in his darkest hour, as something we can all learn from.
Yeah, it's a pretty high bar to set, though, you have to admit.
Right.
But her point about surrender and trust is something that really resonates.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, look, we may never fully grasp why things happen the way they do, but if we can surrender to a power greater than ourselves, trust that there's a plan, even when we can't see it, that's where we really open ourselves up to growth.
And that kind of trust requires an incredible amount of vulnerability.
It does.
It means letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives, which is a tall order in a world that often feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
You're telling me.
Right?
And this is where I think Sarah flips the script a little bit on that classic saying, faith moves mountains. What if it's not about, this brute force, but about recognizing the mountain itself as something more?
Interesting.
As something more than just an obstacle.
That's a fascinating interpretation.
Yeah.
So what is she suggesting the mountain represents then?
Well, it seems like she's saying that the mountain represents this untapped potential within ourselves, within our circumstances, that God can unlock when we surrender to his plan. It's not necessarily that he's like, coming down with a magic wand and removing all these external obstacles.
Right.
But that he's working through us, using those challenges to reveal our own strength, our own capacity for growth.
So it's not about the obstacle disappearing, it's about what that obstacle forces us to become.
Exactly. It's in the surrendering, the letting go, that we actually make space for something new to emerge.
I like that.
And she even suggests that these mountains, while they're daunting, might not disappear overnight,
Right.
but that God can use them to unlock something within us when we never even knew existed. And it's in that unlocking, that transformation, that she believes God reveals his gratitude for our surrender.
And it's important to note here, I think, that this isn't about earning God's favor.
Right.
It's about aligning ourselves with his timing and purpose. It's in the trying, the trusting, that the true transformation occurs.
I love that. And this idea of the double portion that she mentions, can you elaborate on how she interprets that?
Sure.
Because she highlights that Job receives this double portion after his trials, But it's not just material wealth, right?
No, you're right. It goes so much deeper than just material possessions. Sarah suggests it's about those internal shifts, the deeper understanding of God's love and purpose that Job gains through his really difficult experiences.
Right.
It's not just about what he gets back externally, but the profound internal transformation he undergoes.
Yeah, it makes you think of that, saying, the best things in life aren't things. Because sometimes it really is those internal shifts in perspective that are the most valuable rewards of faith.
Yeah.
That deeper connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
And discovering a meaning and purpose that transcends, material possessions or even our external circumstances.
Precisely. And it's often within that surrender.
Yeah.
That we find those hidden treasures. Remember Job? He didn't start out seeking a double portion.
Right.
He was wrestling with immense pain, questioning everything.
Yeah.
But through that process of holding on to his faith and that ultimate surrender, he arrived at a place of deeper understanding and dare I say, gratitude.
Yeah, it's almost like by letting go of the need to control the outcome, to have all the answers, we create this space for something new to emerge.
Absolutely.
Something potentially far greater than what we initially thought we wanted.
It calls to mind the words of Thomas Merton.
Oh, yeah?
Who said, people may spend their whole lives climbing the ladder of success, only to find, once they reach the top, that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Surrendering to God's plan is about making sure that we're on the right ladder.
Right.
Even if it means letting go of the one that we were desperately clinging to.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we become more adept at recognizing, what those wrong ladders are?
Right.
And then finding the courage to let go.
It's a question that has resonated with theologians and philosophers for centuries.
Right.
And there's no simple one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
But I think it begins with cultivating a deeper awareness of ourselves.
Okay.
Our motivations, our fears, our attachments, even the desires that we might be hesitant to admit even to ourselves.
So you're saying before we can even fully surrender to God's plan, we have to surrender to ourselves.
Yeah.
To this honest and compassionate understanding of who we are.
I like that word, compassionate.
Yeah.
Because it is about that, isn't it? It's about nurturing that inner honesty, that willingness to confront the complexities of who we are, the good, the bad, and everything in between, without judgment, but with a sense of radical compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
And only then can we even begin to discern what it is that we're being called to surrender.
That's a really powerful insight, and it seems particularly relevant in the context of Job's story. I mean, it would be so easy to get caught up in the perceived injustice of his situation.
Right.
Like, here's a guy who seemingly did everything right, yet he suffers immensely.
Yeah.
But Sarah seems less interested in the why of it all. And much more focused on the what now. It's like, okay, this happened.
Yeah.
But how do we move forward? How does this experience shape us?
It's a crucial distinction, isn't it?
It is.
It's not about denying the reality of suffering or pretending it's insignificant. It's about recognizing that even within those periods of hardship, even when we can't grasp the why, there's still a profound opportunity for growth and transformation.
And that's where faith comes in. It's not about having all the answers
Right.
or being impervious to pain, but about finding the strength and resilience to navigate those challenges.
Exactly.
And emerge transformed on the other side.
Precisely. It's about shifting our perspective. Faith doesn't erase the suffering.
No.
But it allows us to view it through a different lens.
Yeah.
A lens that empowers us to find meaning and purpose, even in those really dark times.
This reminds me of something else Sarah said about those mountains that we face.
Yeah.
She sees them as opportunities for God to reveal his power and purpose.
Okay.
It's like those challenges, those moments that test us, they're not merely obstacles, but opportunities for us to tap into a deeper well of strength and resilience.
Absolutely. She seems to be suggesting that by embracing those challenges, by surrendering to the process, we open ourselves up to a level of transformation and growth we might never have experienced otherwise.
Wow.
It's in the confronting the overcoming that we discover the depths of our own strength and the boundless nature of God's grace.
Yeah, it's like she's encouraging us to shift our focus from why is this happening to me to what can I learn from this?
Right.
To see those mountains not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth.
It's a powerful reframing, isn't it? And it really ties back to her point about change. I mean, the title of her post, A Change Worth Remembering.
Right.
It suggests that even those difficult, painful changes can become these integral parts of our stories.
Yeah.
That they shape us into the individuals we're meant to be.
And not just part of our story, but almost like the catalyst for something even greater.
Yeah.
Like you think about that idea of the butterfly effect, this seemingly small change that can ripple outwards and create this cascade of unforeseen transformations.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's those disruptive moments, the ones that force us out of our comfort zones, that are precisely where we stumble upon our hidden strengths, our newfound passions, a deeper understanding of our place in the grand scheme of things.
It's a beautiful thought, and one that really aligns with this concept of Job's double portion.
Right.
Perhaps it's not solely about what we receive, but who we become in the process.
Yeah.
You know, we face these trials, we dig deep, we lean into our faith, and on the other side, we're not the same.
Right.
We're changed, hopefully for the better. We've grown more resilient, more compassionate, more aligned with our true purpose.
It really makes you consider those times we've emerged from challenges.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe a little scarred, but not broken.
Right.
The tough times, while they're difficult to endure, often reveal a strength and resilience that we didn't know we possessed.
Absolutely.
It's not that the struggles vanish, but we learn to navigate them with more wisdom,
Yes.
more empathy, a deeper sense of faith.
And that's a truly empowering message, isn't it?
It is.
Even when we're faced with uncertainty and hardship, even when the answers elude us, there's still this incredible opportunity for growth, for transformation, for becoming the best versions of ourselves. It's a journey, to be sure.
It is.
And it's rarely easy, but with faith as our compass and surrender as our guide, it's a journey worth taking.
Beautifully said. It seems like Sarah's reflections on Job offer this really profound message of hope and resilience. She reminds us that even amidst life's inevitable challenges, even when faced with those metaphorical mountains, there's an opportunity to discover a strength and resilience we never knew we possessed.
She invites us to consider those mountains not as these insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities for God to reveal his power and purpose. It's a perspective-shifting proposition, one that has the potential to radically alter our approach to life's inevitable challenges.
So as we go about our week, let's all reflect on Sarah's words and ask ourselves, what are the mountains in our own lives?
Yeah.
And how can we view them not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth, for transformation, for becoming who we're meant to be?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is.
And who knows what remarkable insights and transformations might arise from that exploration.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll leave you with that thought-provoking question until next time. Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep embracing the transformative power of faith and change.